Hey, what's up everyone? This is Eli from CheckIt.com here with an After Effects tutorial on something that has been used in CheckIt's fan page quite a bit lately. It's called Plexus, and it's a program that I personally love. We're just going to create this nice simple intro today, maybe in a different color like red or something, but we'll see. I'm really excited about this tutorial because I love Plexus so much. Also, I'm back finally. It's been a while, I know, but anyway guys, if you guys could give the video a like, it helps out so much. Also leave a comment because I leave all my favorite comments at the end of the video. Make sure that you go to checkit.com/downloads to download the project files used in this tutorial and for that other intro you guys saw. With that, we can get to the tutorial now. So let's get started. Open up After Effects. I'm using After Effects CC now because my Plexus was acting up in my regular After Effects. Brennan and I have a CC account. I just never really used it, and so yeah, I'm using it now. So anyway, this is After Effects CC, but this should work with any other version. So let's get to the tutorial. Alright, so let's start by creating a new composition by clicking this new composition button down here, and we're going to just name this comp Intro Dude. The width is 1920 and the height is 804, and the reason why I'm doing it in anamorphic widescreen is because most people use Plexus in anamorphic widescreen, and what anamorphic widescreen is, it's anything between 2.39 and 2.41. So, I mean, it's all up to you guys, really. You can just move this until it gets to 2.41 or anything, but I'm just going to keep mine at 804 because that's fine. 10 seconds is good, and 29.97 for the frame rate is fine. Alright, let's start by creating a new background by hitting Controller Command Y, and let's just call it BG. Alright. Make it the same size as the comp, and it doesn't matter what the color is because we're going to go over here and we're going to type in ramp. Gradient ramp is what we want. Click and drag it onto the BG. Now let's choose our colors. So we said red, right? Yeah. So let's do like a dark maroon and a kind of lighter maroonish. Maybe right about there would be good. Let's change it from linear ramp to radial ramp. Let's actually swap the colors, and let's bring this point to the bottom and drag this point to the top, so then it looks like we have a little light at the bottom. Let's move the ramp scatter up a lot so then we're not getting cruddy edges. Let's go fit. Perfect. Alright, now we can move on. So let's hit Control, Alt, Shift, T to create a new text layer. I know that's a pretty crazy shortcut, right? But hey, it puts it directly in the middle, except it's not completely in the middle because our aspect ratio is kind of weird, but it's very easy to put it down. So let's type in what we want. I'm gonna go, actually let's just do check it. Alright, now I'm gonna click on the text layer and just move it down with the arrow keys, and maybe turn on the title action safe here, zoom in, and just make sure that it's directly center. So I'm just gonna put that cross right into the middle of the C, and there we should be perfect. Let's turn off the title action safe because it gets very annoying. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to apply Plexus to this text layer. So let's go to our effects and presets, type in Plexus. There we go. Click and drag it. Alright, so you'll notice that Plexus is like a program within a program. Programception, am I right? Goodness gracious. Alright, so let's start with the add geometry. That's how we add the layer in, how we make Plexus realize what we're trying to affect. So a text layer is considered a path. So we'll just click path and you'll already see it, which is really cool. And now we just want to start adding some different effectors and renderers. So let's start with the effectors. Let's add a noise effector. And then let's add a points renderer, a lines renderer, and let's also add a triangulation renderer. Now let's start messing with these and make it look good. So the points on each mask, we want to bring that down to about 40. Then we want to drop down the replication, and we want to do the total number copies up to 3. And just keep in mind, guys, this is how I do Plexus. You guys don't have to do it this way. You guys can mess with this until you get what you want. But yeah, this is how I do things. Alright, I'm going to do the extrude depth up to 1000. And now I'm going to scroll down and we're going to go to the noise effector. And we can actually start animating this if we want. So bring the quality up to full just so we can see what's going on here. And let's go up to here and let's turn off the triangulation renderer because it's just pretty intense. And now we can start messing with this. Starting with the extrude depth on the replication layer right here. We want to change this to about 2000 and also make sure that you turn on the keyframe there. Okay, once it's at 2000, we can move forward to around, let's go to about 315, and let's turn it down to 1400. Alright, now let's move to about, where do we want it to end? Maybe around 6 seconds. Yeah, let's just do it at 6 seconds. So let's then change it to 6. I know it's a weird number, but you want to keep some of the depth there so then our text is still popping out. Anyway, let's actually click this and drag this more over so it's more of a gradual. Then let's select them all, right click, and go down to Keyframe Assistant and click Easy Ease. And you can hit F9, but it does something weird with my Camtasia if I hit F9, so I'm not going to do that. Alright, next let's go to the noise effector and let's start having some fun with this. Let's bring our timeline indicator all the way to the beginning once again. And let's hit the keyframe for the noise amplitude. And what we want to do is we want to click this and type in 1000. I know, it's pretty crazy. Then we're going to move all the way to 6 seconds. And we're going to bring it down to, you guessed it, 0. Yep, pretty easy, right? So just, this is how we get that motion of it coming together. It's pretty cool, huh? And why I did it at 1400 here is so it's more of a gradual stop. If you just did a straight 2000 to 6 extrude depth here, it just doesn't look as good. It doesn't look as smooth. So anyway, we're going to do the same technique here. We're going to select them, and you guys can hit F9. I'm going to go Keyframe Assistant Easy Ease. We want to do Easy Ease for all of these just so it's nice and gradual through the entire thing. Alright, so now our noise effector is done. And our path object is done. So now we're moving on to the points render. For the point size, we're going to go to the beginning. And for this, we want it to start at 2 and then end up at 6 seconds. And we want it to go to 3.70 or 4. Let's select them both. Make them Easy Ease once again. You guys are probably tired of me saying that, but I can't stress enough that we want this to be a very smooth looking animation. Alright, now the points render is done. I don't know why there's 2. I guess I made that mistake. Let's delete that one and just keep the first one there. Alright, and now we could turn back on the triangulation here. We'll go to the beginning and we'll start animating this now. So for the number of vertexes, we want to change that to 7. We're not animating that. It's just how I think things look good. Alright, next what we want to do is animate to maximum distance. So we'll start it at 72. We'll hit the keyframe. We'll go all the way to the end here. And we'll make it end at 30. There we go. Nice and simple. And once again, guess what we're gonna do, guys? Easy Ease, I know. And maybe if we don't, that's fine. You guys can mess around. 6 looks really good as well, but next what we want to do is we want to go to the lines renderer. The search, we will make 7. And now we want to animate the distance. So let's click a keyframe and start animating this mother. So let's start with 135. We'll move this over here. Okay. We want to make the second point 135 as well, so let's click this first keyframe, hit Controller Command C, and then Controller Command V to paste that, and we'll just bring it over to right here, and we just want it to stay at 135 up until this point, and then when it starts coming together, we want to change the lines to 60. And that just helps with the animation here. That's just how I like to do things. If you guys don't want to do it that way, you guys can mess around with this and find something you guys like. So now the basic animation is done, guys. Good job. Now what we want to do is we want to spice this up a little bit. So let's go over to here and we'll type in glow. Alright. And we want to add 2 glows to this layer. So 1, 2. And also we want to go to project. We want to go to where this says 8 bits right here. and we want to change the depth from 8 bits to 32 bits, and this just helps make the glow look a million times better. Alright, so now we can drop down the glow. So for glow 1, we want to make it 60, then 13 for the glow radius, and for the glow intensity, we want to make it 0.2. Alright, and now for the second glow, we want to change the glow threshold to 71.4, the glow radius to 210, and the glow intensity to 0.2, and then we want to animate it. So let's hit a keyframe and go to about where it ends right here, and then let's just change it to 0.4, just so it ends up a little bigger, you know, and it just goes over time. Let's actually change these. You guys don't have to make these easy ease, but I like to make everything easy ease if I'm going for a very smooth project. So now let's hit 0 and see what we've created so far. Alright, check how smooth this is and how cool it is. Pretty sick, huh? And we're also going to animate the camera, of course, but for right now, this is just the basic animation. So if you want to make this blend together a little better, there's a couple ways you can do this. First of all, you can hit F4. That'll bring up the blending mode. If you hit Shift and plus, you can go through all the blending modes until you find something that you like. But personally, I like to just keep it on normal. How I like to blend things together is I like to go down to this Plexus lines render, bring it down, and we'll go to the hit color from vertices here, and we'll turn it off, and we can change this to a different color. Let's see, something that makes it all blend together a little better. So maybe a darker pinkish. Whoa, see, now just like it's really coming together now. Let's actually make this a little tiny bit brighter here. Wow, that looks pretty awesome. Alright, next what we want to do is we want to add a camera and animate it to come back so it looks like we're going through the animation. So let's hit Control, Alt, Shift, C to create a new camera. And we'll just call this camera. The film size is 36mm. Hit OK. And next we want to create a new null object. So that is Control, Alt, Shift, Y. And let's rename this by clicking on the null and hitting enter, and we'll name this Control. Alright, so next we want to make this control layer here a 3D object, so let's hit F4 and click the little 3D box here, and we want to parent the camera to the null object. So let's click this little pick whip here, this little swirl, and we'll click and drag it to the control layer. And now whatever we do to the control layer here will affect the camera. So let's drop this down. Let's go to transform. All we want to mess with is this ending part right here. You see that? So let's bring this all the way up to like 3000 and see where we get. Well, that's kind of far back. Maybe not that much. Let's bring it right about there. Yeah, that's cool. Now we'll animate this. So let's click the keyframe here. We'll move forward. And maybe we want the animation to end right when it's starting to form the letters. So let's bring this back out. Bring this to like 600 and see where it brings us. We need it further back. We want it right about here. That should be good. Alright, because then it forms. And now we want to copy this keyframe here by hitting Controller Command C, and then hitting Controller Command V where we want it. Then we'll have it zoom in just a little bit. So let's do the position, have it go in. There we go. Now let's select all these keyframes. Right click on the keyframe, keyframe assistant, easy ease. Now the animation should go through our animation. Boom, stop, be nice and clean, and then slowly zoom in. So now let's get the timing right. So let's unselect all these keyframes. Let's move back here. Maybe move this over a little bit. Basically the idea behind this is to time this to where the animation ends is where the camera stops moving in, and then once the word forms right about here, we want the camera to start slowly zooming in again. You see how that works? So we just want it never-ending motion, because when you're a viewer, you don't want any dead time, or else you're like, what is this intro? This intro sucks. It was made by amateurs. No, we want this to look like it was made by professionals. The Check It Army. Let's go. So now let's hit 0 and see how we like this animation. Alright, I'm just checking this out because I don't think... Yeah, I don't like that. I want it to keep zooming out while that animation is finishing. So right about here I want it to start finishing, and then when it stops, comes completely together, that's when it zooms in. Alright, I'm gonna hit 0 again. I just want to bring you guys back to show you what I was doing. Alright, look how clean that animation is. And I mean, we can even mess with this a little more, you know, move these points until you get them to where you want. I'm not going to tell you guys how to live your life. I'm not the boss of you, goodness gracious. With that, the last thing we need to do is add some motion blur in. And the weird thing about Plexus is the true motion blur that comes with After Effects does not work with this. So you have to fake motion blur. And to do that, it's actually pretty easy, especially if you guys have After Effects CC. I'll show you guys two different ways. So if you type in blur and you scroll down, you'll notice in time, you have force motion blur and pixel motion blur. If you have After Effects CC, pixel motion blur should be there. So this is what we want to use because it's better than force motion blur, or it's just less intensive. They both look the same pretty much, but pixel motion blur just works with After Effects a little better. So I'm going to be using that. But if you use force motion blur here, you have to turn on this bouncy ball, and then you need to click bouncy ball for your check it layer here, but I'm not going to be using that. But they work exactly the same, guys. This is just a little less intensive on your computer. So what we want to do is we want to create a new adjustment layer for this. So we want to hit Control Alt Y, and then we want to click on the adjustment layer, and we're just going to call this motion blur. Alright, now we're going to click and drag the pixel motion blur over into our motion blur layer, and what we want to do is just change the shutter samples up to 20. And After Effects will take care of the rest. See that? Ah, so cool. It looks so realistic and amazing. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it. I can show you guys how I render this real quick. Let's first save it. So let's hit Control S, Control or Command S, of course, and we'll just save this as Plexus Project II. And of course, these are both available at checkit.com/downloads. Make sure you go there. Goodness gracious, I'm providing all this free stuff. Alright, now that we have that saved, let's hit Control S. Let's go up to Composition and go to Add to Render Queue. And you guys can always hit Control M, but it doesn't work when I'm recording for some reason, so yeah. Anyway, let's go to the output module here. Let's go down to QuickTime, and let's change the format settings to H.264 because that's the best. Quality 100%, hit OK, hit OK once again, and let's just render this to the desktop, and we'll just call this yo. Okay, save and render. So with that, guys, thanks so much for watching. So glad I was able to make another tutorial for you guys. It's been so long, and by the way, this will take a while to render, especially if you're using the CC Force Motion Blur. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys learned something awesome. You guys really should give Plexus a try. So many clients would love this, and you guys can make bank off of it. Just trust me with that. Make sure you leave the video a like for all the hard work we've put into these tutorials, and for my return to check it. And also, don't forget to leave a comment, because I leave all my favorite comments at the end of the video. Thanks for showing all this support you guys have been showing. And with that, I will see you guys on the next tutorial. Peace!